calling Dodgers-Mets tonight, Game 3. Ron Darling on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing great, Rich. Thanks for having me again.
You bet. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I mean, you called it as you saw it, that you said the play looked as dirty as it was. A couple of days later, do you have a different viewpoint or the same, Ron?
That's a great question. 30 hours later or so, let me just say this. I've been lucky enough to watch Chase Utley play over 100 games when he was the Phillies and Mets, against each other. And he's one of my favorite players that I've ever watched. He's always played hard. He's always played right. I think that what happens, and I think I didn't address this right, is that when you're on first base, first and third, you're down by a run, your job with one out is to do anything you can to stop the double play. And that is to take out the second baseman or shortstop, who's ever turning, and make sure they do not get rid of the ball. I thought the slide was late. I still think it was late, but it's not as easy as I made it sound. I think it's one of those things where, you're trying to search for that shortstop. Where is he going to be? Is he coming across the bag? Is he going to go behind the bag? And, the bad part about it is if Chase had taken him out, Tejada was not hurt, I don't think we'd be talking about the play, but because Tejada broke his leg, of course, it's become the thing to talk about. But, Chase Utley's a great player. I thought it was a late slide. Dirty is a little strong. I should have said late.
Ron Darling joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Just looking at the replay over and over and over again, we could go back and forth as to whether, it was interference and whether they could, even without it, they would have been able to complete the double play. I mean, that ball was flipped to Tejada in a certain way that it might have been difficult to turn to even without Utley in his face. But the fact that there's now a suspension for it, Ron, and we've seen this play forever. You even talked about how Bud Harrelson and Pete Rose got into it with a brawl in a postseason game back in 72. Or 73, pardon me. So what does this mean about moving forward now with a suspension?
Well, I think the great thing about it is that the 73 game, which is pretty funny, if my memory serves me right, after the brawl was done, Harrelson and Rose went back to their position. So there were no ejections. And I think the suspension is wrong. Now, what I've heard as of this second is because of the CBA, because of the Players Association, I don't think Utley, even though he's suspended, the Players Association wants more time to review this. So I don't think the hearing's going to be heard today. So even though he has been suspended by Major League Baseball, the hearing is not going to happen for a couple of days. So I don't think you're going to see Chase Utley in a Dodger uniform for tonight's game.
Yeah, I don't know if the union really does need the time to actually get their ducks in a row legally. I think this is a way of basically saying, let's keep in the spotlight that Major League Baseball made some form of an ad hoc ruling based on the fact that a player got hurt, not because of what was actually done on the field with the actual slide, Ron. I think that this is a union trying to keep pressure on a league management and its council, I think, in that regard.
I think you're absolutely right. I think, it's trying to let Major League Baseball know that you can't be reactionary and just do anything that you want to do just because a player has been hurt. Like I said, if Tejada's not hurt in this instance, Utley's out at second base. The Dodgers probably don't have time to really review the call, and it would have stood with 2 outs and a guy on first with a tie ball game. So it's a strange thing that happened. Almost a perfect storm of events, and it's not going away anytime soon. Now that we've heard what the CBA, Players Association, and Major League Baseball are now getting into it.
Ron Darling joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then there's the replay aspect of it, because there's so many purists who say just take replay completely out, but it's a Pandora's box. It's now open. And the question is how do you come up with a rule, Ron, where on replay that if the fielder doesn't touch the base and the runner doesn't touch the base and the fielder never tags the runner, that even if the runner trots off the field thinking that he is out, he is now restored to the base that he had no intention of touching in the first place? How does that happen?
Well, there is a rule for that, which is hard to believe. And the rule is that if the umpire makes an incorrect call, that the runner, even if he surrenders the base, gets the base back. My argument would be that he never got the base at all anyways. Now, if you have a guy that's on second base, he slides in, he's called out. He runs into the dugout, and then they decide he's safe. Well, I can understand that. At some point, the guy was standing on second base, had the base, and then ran off the field, and now they figured out the play is wrong and give him the base back. But we're talking about a guy who never touched the base, was halfway to shortstop, and just sprinted into the dugout. To me, that just did not make any sense. And I know Major League Baseball, to me, Rich, I just think that, to me, it just sounded like no one knew what they were doing. And this is what happens is when you decide to change a game that's been around for 140 years, and you start to add all these little kinds of rules that you think are not going to be a big deal. You know, the catcher, now you can't run him over, this or that. And you don't really think it's going to be a big deal until you get into a game, and when all these things start to happen, and you understand that the more rules you have, the less chance you have of getting them right.
Well, I think, Ron, part of this is money, too. I mean, if your shortstop's making $20 million a year, or your catcher's making $20 million a year, and I'm an owner, I'm raising my hand saying we need to have rules to protect these guys. End of story. Right?
Yeah, sorry, Rich. Absolutely. I mean, if Jeter had been playing shortstop in the game, the games would have been canceled.
Ron, during the game, Ron, seriously, during the game, Ron, your partner Cal was saying that's a clean play to me. Everyone was tweeting out that if somebody had done that to Cal, Baltimore would have come up with pitchforks and torches on whoever attempted that on Cal.
That's right. It's like I said, the most difficult part I think about it is that, I feel, this is my opinion, that because of replay, we've totally emasculated the umpires. They're at a point where you're watching a game. I don't know if you guys remember the play that Greg Gibson had earlier in the game with a little toss by Turner to first. I mean, obviously safe. He calls him out. To me, it feels like the umpires are in between. And in my day, and I hate to go back to my day because my day wasn't perfect either. There was a lot of bad stuff that happened in my day. But what was one thing that was straight? The umpires. The umpires were decisive. They made the call. It wasn't always right. And listen, replay is there for a reason. And I love replay in the sense that Don Denkinger's call, let's say, would have been overturned and things like that. But we're starting to get into so many gray areas. And when you do this, all you end up being after the game is confused on what just happened.
Ron Darling joining me here on the program. All right, let's get to tonight, Ron. You know about pitching in the cauldron that is New York City. You know what it's like to do that in a postseason game. We've discussed it now this will be a third straight appearance for you on this program about what is at stake for Matt Harvey. And it does appear Utley, with those career numbers against him, will be in the lineup tonight. Chris Brockman, read Ron Darling, thericheisenshow.com poll question, please.
Should Matt Harvey retaliate against Chase Utley tonight, Ron?
Yes or no?
No. I think that if I'm Terry Collins, I'm doing two things tonight before the game, especially if Utley's in the lineup. I'm going to David Wright, the captain, and I'm saying, hey, listen, I don't want any player in this locker room to feel like Matt is letting them down because we've lost a shortstop and he broke his leg and because he's not hitting someone. That's number one. Number two, I call Harvey into my office and say, hey, listen, Matt, you're here to throw up 7 zeros. That's it. We're not here to care about Chase Utley. We're here to care about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll take care of business somewhere down the road, but the best thing you can do for this ball club to endear yourself to your teammates, because it's been a tough month, is to go out there and throw 7 zeros. So I say absolutely not.
So then let me ask you the follow-up question. Will Matt Harvey retaliate against Chase Utley tonight?
Probably.
Yeah, the Dark Knight can go rogue every now and then, huh, Ron?
Absolutely. I think, I said no, and I guess I'm thinking about the first at-bat. There's going to be other at-bats, and there's going to be other times, and there's going to be 2 outs with nobody on, and maybe the Mets have a lead. Something different could happen then. But as far as the first at-bat, if Utley's up in the first inning, I would say no, that he is not going to hit him.
Ron, thanks as always for calling in. Thanks for coming here last Friday, and we will talk with you down the line.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You bet. That's Ron Darling, MLB on TBS. Tonight, it'll be him, Cal, and Ernie Johnson with the call. That place will be in full froth.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.